Welcome back, my fellow students. Today I'm gonna be showing you guys post-plan lineups for every single map, and it's gonna be a lot more organized, and I'm only gonna show the essential ones this time. So no bullshitting, let's go. I have made sure that every lineup can be done on both high and low settings, so you don't need to worry about that. Alright, starting with default plant by truck. Your first lineup is in A short. Aim next to this curve. Your second lineup is in A lobby. Line up this corner with the middle of this leaf. For a rotation lineup, go to B short and stand under this window. Here is the reference point. For the last lineup, which is in B link, stand in front of this wall and aim in the middle. Moving on to second default plant, which is by triple box. The reference point is in that corner. This time you stand in front of the box and you aim between all the missing leaves. And lastly, for the retake lineups, which is in CT, stand in front of this barrel. For triple box, follow this line all the way to the end and aim slightly below to the right. And here is the reference point for truck. Moving on to B side, we're gonna start with the default plant on the left side. First lineup is by B teleporter. Here's your reference point. The second lineup is next to B fountain. Hug this wall and line up the roof so the cloud is in line. If you look closely, you will see this line and you have to aim where it stops, which is about there. On low settings you have to pay really good attention to the details, otherwise you won't see the line. The last lineup is located in B short. Again, watch carefully. The cloud is disintegrating in this part and you have to aim under that, but not too low, otherwise you're gonna hit the box. So if you plant in the middle, people can defuse from on top of the container. So I'm not gonna show any lineups for this one. Moving on to the right side default. Here's your reference point. Line up the cloud with the roof again. And then you want to locate this darker shade on the roof, aim in the middle, next to it, and jump and left click. The last lineup is a lot more difficult, but with practice you can get it every time. Locate the start of the cloud, and then aim a bit to the right and then down. And last but not least, for the retake lineups, I have a very good combo. Here's the first reference and this is the second. Alright, moving on to ICEBOX, there are so many revamped lineups I'm gonna show you guys. On A side we know that there are many places you can plant, but I'm gonna show lineups for each and every single one of them. Now, the lineups I'm about to show will work for heaven plant and also for default. For the first location, stand in front of this line and aim in the middle of this square. It's a bit harder to see on low graphics, but you'll get used to it. For the second lineup, which is in A belt, stand in front of this white line and aim in this corner. And the last lineup spot is good if you're playing from pipes. You just have to aim at the end of the rope. The next plant spot is really good if you're playing from belt. All you have to do is aim in the middle of this line instead. The next plant spot is in front of gen. First one is easy. Same goes for second. And for the last one, locate this corner and shoot. It's really difficult to get a plant in this spot, but if you manage, here are the lineups. The first lineup I found is so big brain, you guys wouldn't comprehend it. Stand anywhere in front of this black line and aim in the middle of this one. For the next lineup spot, go all the way back and aim anywhere above the blue light. For the last lineup, jump on top of this shit and aim on the left side of the arrow. Make sure you're not too low, otherwise you're gonna miss the lineup. Last but not least, a retake lineup from CT. Stand in front of this lamp and aim on this mark. Moving on to B side default plant, the first lineup is in B green. This little dot is your reference point. The rest of the lineups can be used for retake and post plant. Stand in the middle of the circle and you will see this big star. You don't want to aim on that one, but the star that's above it. The third lineup is under mid boiler. The reference point is in the middle of this curve. For the last lineup, head over to this corner in B hut. The reference point is on top of this triangle. Alright now, moving over to Big Ben. I think you guys will love the new lineups I have for Gen especially, because they're so easy to remember. First lineup is in A lobby. For double box, you aim in that corner. The reference to mid gen is in the middle of this rectangle, and for bottom gen, it's in the middle of the ventilation. So once again, mid gen and bottom gen. If you want to do a lineup from Vine instead, I must inform you guys that it's literally impossible to do the lineups on low graphics. There are no visual cues unless you have it on high graphics. Starting with double box, you move a bit to the left from this part of the cable, like so. For bottom gen, aim in the middle of this cable, on top of the empty space. And for mid gen, below the gap on the right side of the cable. From mid cubby on top of the staircase, I have two great lineups. This location is also great because you're not exposed to tree as much. The reference to gen is on top of this needle. And for double box, it's gonna be on that corner. From CT you can do some nice retake lineups. For double box, it's inside the metal. For mid gen, it's on top of the window. And for bottom gen, it's on this black line. So once again, double box, mid gen, and bottom gen. Moving on to B site default plant. First lineup is located in B main and it's super easy. You just aim above the tree. The second lineup is in B lobby and you can't be seen from mid. For this one you need to look closely. There's a gap in the clouds in this area, and you want to aim on the right side of it. Mid pizza is quite easy as well. You count 1, 2, 3 and then to the right. And the last one, which is my go-to lineup from CT. You hide in this corner and when it's time to do the lineup, find the ventilation and aim on the left side of it. And then we have Haven. There are many lineups on C site, so I'm gonna start off by showing those. Just so you guys know the callouts, this is default and this is long. Your go-to lineup is located in C cubby on the left side of the door handle. Make sure you're standing right in front of it. The reference for default is in the middle of this side, and for long it's in the middle of this shorter line. Repeat after me. Default,
default,
and long.
long.
In C lobby I have two lineup spots. Trust me, those are your best alternatives. For default, stand in the middle of this wall and locate this small bump on the ledge. And for long, stand on the left side of the gap, and this is your reference point. The third lineup is in mid doors. Jump on top of the box and stand in the middle. For default, your crosser needs to be in between the gap. And for long, crouch down and aim on top of this leaf. Jump and left click. Close to B site we have two simple lineups. Default is next to this corner, and long is next to the middle of this line. You may think this is a joke, but I'm being 100% serious. Go on top of this shit. For default, line up the left side with the bottom of this lamp, like so. And for long, right below this side. If you're playing from A link and planted there, just shoot on the wall. And if you planted in the middle, shoot on the plank instead. If you're retaking B from C link, stand beside this box. The reference point is where the painting ends. Don't get it confused with this like lighter part of the painting. This is not included. Obviously you can play lineups from window as well, but I don't recommend this because you can get wallbanged quite easily. Your safest bet would be all the way back in T-spawn, and on top of the bell is for the middle. And if you go next to this flower pot, aim at the bell and then line up with the mountain and slightly to the left. It will hit default on left side. On A side I'm gonna show lineups for the left side default and the right side. Your first and only reliable lineup spot is in A long. Here's the reference for the left side, and for the right side it's straight on that corner. So once again, left and to the right. In my opinion, it's much better to plant under this window, because you can shoot them from long and short. The first lineup spot is really cheeky. It's behind this corner and right below this edge. And from long, it's in the middle of this curve. And finally we have the retake lineup on A. Just aim in the middle of this brown thing. And finally we have Breeze, which is arguably the best map for Viper besides Bind. For A site, I'm gonna show lineups for the middle and this spot. It's really good for post plant. Starting with the best lineup, which is in A lobby. And just for reference, I'm gonna call this plant backside. Starting with backside, if you look under this leaf, you will see all those darker colored leaves. And if you aim in the middle of that, that's for backside. And for the other lineup, start from this point and go up until you're in line with those two leaves. If you planted on backside, you could do a 200 IQ rotation. Head over to this smiley, and the reference is between the missing painting. Stand in front of the right side. The reference is between this side and the other side. And a small tip for you guys, you can wallbang them from here. For B default there are many lineups. The first one is in B main. Stand in front of the second metal bar. The reference is here, between the two fat lines. The second lineup is in B elbow. Stand in front of the second line. Aim in the middle of the square and go left until you meet the sky. The last lineup is in B window. For the lineup to hit, you need to aim at this level. And obviously, you want to aim above the default. If you practice enough, you can counter strafe. I worked on this video for like 4 days, so I'd really appreciate all the support. Make sure to follow me on Twitch as well. This video took a lot of my time, so I didn't get to stream, but you guys will see me there shortly. For those of you who are wondering where the fracture lineups are, I made a guide on it recently, so go check that out. And as always, stay toxic.